So, in today's video, I'm going to talk about this guy doing a TikTok here. And essentially, he's kind of talking about Overwatch increasing the DPS passive from 25% to 30%. I left a comment. I think he deleted it. I wasn't able to find it again. Here's the creator if you guys want to check him out, but it doesn't matter. I think he deleted it. I don't think TikTok took it down. I couldn't see. Normally they tell you if you take it down, and they'll take it down when you call somebody stupid or whatever. I didn't do that. So, at least I can't find it here. He obviously has more. He's got 85 comments now. Last I commented, he had like 8. So, essentially the gist of this video is he's kind of mad that they are giving DPS more passive, going from 25 to 30%. And he thinks that supports have to be 2 to 3 times as good as you do as a DPS player, and I just have to say I think that's ridiculous, right? Supports do a lot of damage, in some instances more damage than a lot of DPS, and they get a countless number of abilities, so I just think that his point is entirely wrong to say that, and he's kind of trying to defend himself here in the comments, but I just don't think he's right at all. But the gist of what my comment said was that supports do a lot of damage, like a lot more than DPS in some instances. And if you genuinely think that if you have a harder time, then you're just lost. Now, he gives examples where it's like he gets targeted so much, and then it's like an Ana has to hit her sleep, and it's so much harder when he's getting dove in by the whole team. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if anybody's getting dove in by the whole team, even if it's a tank, they're gonna die, right? So, I don't know what his point was there, but if you can't deal with a Genji, I mean, that's on you. Like, a Genji dives you, Suzu, TP away, shoot him, do something, sleep him, anti him, fade away. Supports are the only one in the game that get these get out of jail free cards, and then they still decide to feel like victims at the end of the day because it's just not enough, apparently, and they think that they need to work 2 to 3 times harder than a DPS player. Yeah, I think this guy here in the comments got it right. When the enemy team plays all my counters, then I have a tougher game. Very insightful. I'm glad you aren't in charge of the balancing. He says that. My point is that, unlike tanks, supports play into their counters consistently and don't get gigabuff to compensate. In fact, they get nerfed because DPS can't hit shots. I entirely disagree. We have had season after season after season of DPS getting nerfed into the ground and really struggling, to the point where Sojourn and Freya are really the only 2 good viable ones, and it's insane. I actually have Overwatch here for you guys. Here's this is what he's talking about. This is really not gigabuffed.
Look, don't touch.
Then you can boom, and you can TP halfway across the map. So
Hey.
it's on a, was that 6-second cooldown there?
Hi.
Here, wait. Oh no, Genji shooting me. Boom, halfway across the map. There's 4 walls in between us right now. He can't kill me. There's no way I'm dying. I don't love to use the word skill issue, but I think that it is ridiculous. And we always have this argument of, is support the hardest role? Is DPS the hardest role? Is tank the hardest role, right? And I think there's a valid argument for all of them, but in this instance, where he's like, oh, if I get dove in and I'm constantly getting targeted, I just have a harder time than DPS because they're not dealing with that. Well, DPS also don't have these insanely great abilities and massive impact to the fight. BAP Lamp can literally counter a lot of ults, like practically half of the ults in the game. If you don't wait for that and kill him, you cannot ult and you will not win the fight. Compare that to Cass's ult or like Bastion's ult. Practically worthless. Or even compare it to somebody like Sojourn's ult, where you actually have to aim and get shit done. Where it's like, BAP Lamp isn't an ult, it's an ability, right? So it's on cooldown 20, 25 seconds, 24-second cooldown. So you get that. You'll have that every fight. You will have that every fight, and it shuts down so many things. And then you have Suzu, which is basically a pocket lamp. You have nade and sleep, and it's like, if you are struggling to kill a Genji and whoever's diving you, I don't know what to say. I really truly don't know what to say other than just like use, like, anti him. Just anti him, right? You throw the anti at the ground. Here, I'll break it down in Overwatch for you. Here you go. Here you go. Just do this. Just do this. Oh no, the Genji's diving me. And he's dead. And he's dead. There you go. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Not very difficult, not very hard. Or you just anti him, and normally he'll leave, because if he doesn't and you continue to keep fighting that, you know, he'll die most of the time. It's also funny saying this coming off of a Genji nerf where he lost 6 shurikens, which is, it's insane how good that nerf is. It's like an amazing nerf, because you think it's like on paper, oh, he only lost 6 shurikens. That is very impactful. He is not as good anymore. Like, it really hurts him. It really does. So if you think, you know, if you think that, I'm sorry, bud, you're just lost. I don't know how much I need to reiterate it, but just use one of your abilities or shoot him. It's not like Ana does nothing. 2, 3, 4. 4 shots to kill, right? With Kiriko, it's two in a melee, right? And this is only because Ana can't headshot. But also, kind of to cap off the video here, gonna end it. I find the whole argument of what role is hardest to be a bit dumb in the first place anyway, because it doesn't matter, right? I think a lot of people, like he says, oh, an Ana had to work 2 to 3 times harder than a DPS to be in the same rank. That's why the DPS are mad. No, right? That's not why DPS are mad. DPS are mad that supports get everything, and then they hate to see DPS get anything, right? Yeah, DPS are getting this buff after the nerf of last season, right? It's like Genji having both of his legs removed, and then he gets a cupcake, and you're mad that he got a cupcake. He just had a massive nerf, and now you're going to be like, well, he can't have that 5% to the DPS passive, and it's ridiculous. And he complains about, like, the 2 DPS that can one-shot, and he's like, oh, heaven forbid I get one-shot from across the map. Suck it up. The DPS roster can also get headshot from across the map, because they're squishies. The only people who can't do that is tanks, right? So I don't get it. But kind of to wrap it up is, I think the argument is dumb, because a lot of people want to play like the high horse and like, I did it the hard way. You know, like, you talk to your parents, I walked uphill both to and from school, both way, back and forth, uphill, both way, 5 miles. And it's like, okay, cool, Gramps, like, fantastic. But it's stupid, because he wants to be like, well, supports had it the hard way. You know, it's the hard knock life out here. And it's like, although it doesn't matter which role's the hardest, and briefly, it is DPS, right? Because, especially at the moment, because DPS are, like, neutered, and supports have everything, like, they're, like, the only difference between Illari and half the support line is she just is a better hero. Or, I'm sorry, Illari and half the DPS line, she just is a better DPS, which is hilarious, because she's a support. That's funny to me, but, whatever. Yeah, tanks definitely have it easier, supports definitely have it easier, and it's mostly because they've just been buffed. Like, they have not touched Kiriko at all. And like, Sojourn, they have just, like, neutered her to the absolute bone, where all of her abilities are a shell of what they once used to be, right? So, anyway, it doesn't matter whose role is hardest, right? Especially when you're all the same rank, right? None of it matters. Like, yeah, it might take Defran less hours to get to plat than it takes you to get to plat, but who cares? Who gives a shit, right? None of it matters when it comes to what role is the hardest role. And I understand it's like an ego thing where it's like, oh, I did it the hard way. My role is harder than your role. I don't care. I don't give a shit, because none of it matters. Also, a lot of it's perspective. So if you put 5,000 hours into support, and then you go and put climb DPS, you're not going to need to put another 5,000 hours into DPS to get it to the same place that you'd support. So you're always going to think that support is harder than DPS. It doesn't work like that, right? You know, because you learned most of the basics and the mechanics and aiming skills on support means that you don't need to relearn them, right? Like, I know what Genji does, even though I don't play Genji, right? I know what Brig does, even though I don't play Brig. It means that when I started, I first played Junkrat, and I have like 700 hours on him. Does it take me 700 hours on Brig to get to where my Junkrat is? No, it doesn't, right? Does that mean that Junkrat is harder than Brig? No, it's entirely anecdotal, and it's entirely based on what you started on. When I started on Junkrat, I didn't know any of his abilities. Now I know what Brig's abilities do. I know what Hero's abilities do that I've never played. Like, I knew what Freya's abilities did immediately when I had 20 minutes in the game. It's not that hard, and that's because I have so much time in the game, right? But the whole concept of like I wanna be the guy who did it the hard way. I wanna be that guy. My roll's harder than yours. I think it's ridiculous. It's like a piss measuring contest almost. So, thanks for watching.